Hello everyone, in this video I am going to talk about how to make a real-time stock data processing pipeline using AWS Lambda function and Kinesis service. So the aim of this video is to make the Lambda function as a consumer to process the streaming data in real time. So let us see the complete workflow here. So first of all, what will be going to happen, stock market data is fetched from the stock market API and it is ingested into a Kinesis data stream. From there, a Lambda function will be made to process the data, perform the task. Now, the processed data is then stored in S3 bucket for further analysis. Additionally, all the execution logs and the performance metrics are monitored using Amazon CloudWatch. We will also ensure that the Lambda function has appropriate permission using the IAM rule. So this is my complete workflow. These are the tools and technology that I am going to use. First of all, I am going to use AWS Lambda function for creating a processing pipeline. Then I am using Kinesis data stream for ingesting our real-time stock market data. Then I am going to use Amazon S3 for storing the data and CloudWatch for monitoring the Lambda and Kinesis data processing. The first thing that I have to do is to create a Kinesis data stream. So here you have to search Kinesis. Click on here. Then what you have to do, you have to create a data stream. Give here a name. For example, I am naming it as stock market. So let me name it as stock market. And the data stream capacity that I am going to choose is provision. So in provision, we have total 1 shard will be there. And the data stream capacity will be 1 MB per second for writing and 2 MB per second for reading. After that, what I will do, I will just click on create data stream. So this will be my first step. The next step that I have to do is to create an IAM rule. So what I'm going to do, I am searching here IAM. Next, what I have to do, I have to create an IAM role. So I will be clicking on roles here and click on create rules. Here, the service that we're going to use is AWS Lambda function. So I will select here Lambda and then click on next. After that, I have to attach various policies such as Kinesis full access. So let me just search Kinesis full access. Second, we need is S3 full access. Then we need is Lambda full access. So Lambda full access. After that, we need AWS Lambda basic execution rule. After that, I will need CloudWatch full access. So let me just search here CloudWatch. So here we have to search CloudWatch event full access also and CloudWatch full access. Next, we will click on next. Give the role a name. For example, I am naming it as stock market role. So these are the permission we are giving to this role. After that, what I have to do, I have to click on create rule. Now my stock market role is created. The next step will be to create an S3 bucket. So what I am going to do, I will search here S3. and I will going to create a bucket here. So the bucket will be a general purpose bucket. Click on create bucket. I am giving the name as, let us say, stock market. Stock market pipeline, some number. After that, what you have to do, you have to make your ACL as you can disable and your block public access as enabled. Next, you can turn on your bucket versioning if you need it. After that, what we will be going to do, we will be just going to click on create a bucket. So let me just check. Okay, here we have to acknowledge it also. Now click on create bucket. Now my bucket is created, which is a stock market pipeline 567. The next step is to create a Lambda function. So what I'm going to do, I'll be searching here Lambda here. And click on create a function. So my function name is, let us say, stock market. Runtime will be Python. So you can select any version of Python. For example, I'm going to choose 3.11. And the permission, what you have to do, you have to change this permission to an existing role that we have just created, which is, if you remember, stock market role. After that, what you have to do, you just have to click on create a function. So now my function is created. The next step that I have to do is basically we have to add a trigger. So click on add a trigger. Search here the source. The source will be our Kinesis data stream. So click on Kinesis. After that, it will ask for batch size. So you can specify. In my case, let us put it on 10. So batch size is basically the number of record in each batch to send the function. After that, what you have to do, you just have to click on add. Now here you have to specify your Kinesis stream also. So let me select it as stock market and click on add. Now, let me explain you the Python code that I am using in this function. Now, let me explain you the code. First of all, I am importing some Python library. For example, JSON to deal with JSON type of data, Boto3 to communicate with AWS services. Then we have a datetime library. After that, we have a base64 for encoding or decoding the data. So the first step that I am going to do is I am going to initialize my S3 client with the help of Boto3 library. Second that I have to do, I have to specify the bucket name that I have just created. So if you remember, we have created a bucket here. So let me just search for here S3. And my bucket name is, if you remember, it is a stock market pipeline 567. So let me just copy this thing and paste it here. So this is my bucket name. After that, I am creating a function to process the stock market data. So def keyword, your function name, and my input will be stock data. So opening price will be there, closing price will be there. We are calculating the anomaly with the help of this formula. After that, I am creating a new column called as anomaly detected, and I am returning the stock market data. Then I am creating a Lambda handler function which takes two input, event and context. So I am iterating through each event, and I am basically loading the JSON data and decoding it out, and then calling the process stock data function in order to process my stock data here. Then I am just storing the data with their timestamp into the S3 bucket. You can see this is the code for putting the objects in the bucket. and this is the status code that I am returning. So this is the code that I'm going to use. So what I'm doing, I'm just copying pasting the things from here. Then I'm going to my Lambda function. Clicking on it. And instead of this, I'll be using my code. Then what I'm doing, I'm clicking on deploy. The next thing that I'm going to do is, I'm going to configuration and I'm going to increase my timeout. So you have to click on edit, and instead of providing only 3 seconds, let me give it as 4 minutes 30 seconds so that our code won't get failed. Then click on save. Go to the text code. Next, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create something called as access keys. So what you have to do, you have to go here and you have to click on security credentials. And in the security credential, you have to create something called as access keys. So if you remember from the IAM class, access keys are used to authenticate the IAM AWS account with my Python code. So you have to click on create access keys, understand it, and click on create access keys. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a Python code which fetch the stock market data from Yahoo API, Yahoo Finance API. So this is my Python code for that, for fetching the stock market data from Yahoo Finance API. So first thing that I'm going to do is, I'm going to install the Boto3 library into my system. So let me install the Boto3 library here. So if you remember, Boto3 is basically a Python library for interacting with the AWS services. So you have to install this library. Next, what I have to do, I will basically import all the Python libraries which I needed. For example, JSON, datetime, and Yahoo Finance API for fetching stock market data, then Boto3, time function, and random model. After that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass here my access key ID and secret access key. So let me just copy my access keys, paste it here. Similarly, I will pass my secret access keys also. After the video, I will be going to delete this thing. So you can create your access keys and secret access keys. Region name is US East 1. You can verify it here. If you go on global, you can see that by default my region is basically US East 1. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect with the Kinesis service, because as we know that data is going to ingest in Kinesis service. Next, I'm creating a stock market data function which will take the stock symbol and it will download the data for every 1 minute interval. So these are the things it will fetch it out: stock symbol, timestamp, open, high, low, close value, etc. Next, the symbol that I'm going to use is Apple. Now, what I'm going to do, I am basically simulating the model. So basically getting the data. I'm basically simulating our stock model with some random stock data like Tesla. I'm using it out. Then I'm passing our stream name. So if you remember what is my stream name here, so you can see that my stream name is stock market. So let me just copy it here. So my name is stock market, and here I am fetching my normal stock data, which is Apple, and this is my anomaly data, which is Tesla, into this string, which is your stock market, and I'm partitioning the data by 1. And after every 60 seconds, it will wait and it will fetch another data. So this is my whole code. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll be just opening my Lambda function. Now, I am going to run this code and it will fetch the live real-time stock data and it will be going to ingest in our Kinesis, and then it will process it out and save the process data into an S3 bucket. So let me just run this code. You can see that it is start fetching the real-time data. Now, what you have to do, you have to go to monitor section. Now let me open my CloudWatch logs. Now here you can see a log stream is created. So if you click on here, you can see that we have processed one stock market data, which is Apple and this much things. And it is saved with this thing. Now let me open my S3 bucket. Now let me go here, stock market pipeline. Now we can see that we have created a folder called as processed stock data, and the data set is basically processed here and saved it in JSON form. So this is all about our stock market data pipeline. So we have implemented this complete architecture, and you can follow this video to do it by yourself. Instead of a stock market API, you can take anything. For example, you can take real estate API and just change the collab code and it will work according to you. Now, if you have to stop this service, what you have to do? Just click on stop and delete all the things that you have done. For example, let me just delete this function. So when your work is done, make sure to delete all the AWS resources that you have just created. Similarly, you have to delete the Kinesis stream also. And your S3 bucket also. My bucket. First of all, you have to click empty. Type here permanently delete. And then you have to delete the bucket configuration. Now let me delete the bucket. All the code that I'm using in this video will be available as a resource, so you can download it.